Alex lived with his parents in a quiet neighborhood. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, were always busy with work, leaving Alex at home alone most of the time. To make things easier, they trusted their friendly neighbor, Samantha, to look after him when they were away. Samantha was the kind of neighbor everyone seemed to like. She always smiled, dressed fashionably, and acted so helpful. Mrs. Anderson often praised her. "If not for Samantha, I don't know how we'd manage," she would say. Mr. Anderson even agreed to buy her a gift to thank her for taking care of Alex. But Alex knew a side of Samantha that his parents didn't see. She wasn't as kind as she pretended to be. Whenever Samantha came over, she brought movies for Alex to watch. But they weren't the fun cartoons he liked. They were strange movies that made him feel uneasy. When Alex asked her to change them, she'd laugh and say, "These are better, Alex. You'll like them once you stop being a baby." Alex didn't like the way she spoke to him, but he didn't know how to make her stop. It got worse when Samantha started touching him in ways that made him uncomfortable. He tried to pull away, but she would laugh and say, "Relax, Alex. You're a big boy now." Alex wanted to tell his parents, but every time he tried, something stopped him. One day he told his mom, "Mom, I need to talk to you about Samantha." But before he could explain, her phone rang. "Hold on, Alex," she said, walking away. She never came back to ask what he wanted to say. His dad wasn't any better. "I'm too tired to talk right now, Alex," he said one evening when Alex tried to speak to him. Feeling helpless, Alex kept everything to himself, but it was becoming too much to bear. When Samantha visited the house the next day, she brought along some of her favorite movies to watch with Alex. They were loud, flashy films that Alex didn't particularly enjoy. He tried to politely suggest they watch something else, but Samantha waved him off with a dismissive laugh. "This is a great movie, Alex," she said, tossing a handful of popcorn into her mouth. "You'll learn to like it, trust me." Alex frowned, shifting uncomfortably in his seat. "But I don't like this movie. Can we watch something else? Maybe the cartoon my mum got for me." Samantha shot him a sharp look, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. "Alex, this is what we're watching, and that's final. It's nice, okay? You just don't know how to appreciate good taste yet." Feeling defeated, Alex slumped back on the couch. He didn't want to argue, but he also didn't understand why she was so insistent on things he didn't enjoy. The day dragged on with Samantha glued to her phone, barely paying attention to the screen herself, while Alex sat there, restless and bored. As time went on, her behavior became more unsettling. She started scolding Alex whenever he asked her to change the movie or to do something else. "Stop being such a baby," she'd say with a fake laugh, but her tone was anything but kind. One day, Samantha crossed a line. When Alex got up and tried to turn the TV off himself, she grabbed the remote and snatched it out of his hands. "Don't touch that," she snapped, her cheerful mask slipping for a moment. Alex froze, unsure of what to do. That evening, Alex tried to gather the courage to tell his mum about Samantha. He waited until dinner, his small hands fidgeting with his fork. "Mum," he began softly, "I need to tell you something about Samantha." Mrs. Anderson looked at him with concern, setting down her glass of water. "What is it, honey?" Before Alex could get the words out, Mrs. Anderson's phone rang loudly. She glanced at it, a stressed look crossing her face. "Hold on, Alex. I need to take this call. It's work." Alex sighed, watching as his mother stepped away to answer. By the time she returned, the conversation had shifted to something else, and Alex didn't have the heart to bring it up again. He felt frustrated and alone, but he decided he would try again the next day. The following morning, after his parents left for work, Samantha let herself into the house as usual. This time, she seemed even more intrusive. She sat closer to Alex than before, her behavior making him increasingly uncomfortable. "Alex," she said with a sugary smile, "you're growing up to be such a handsome boy." Alex shuffled away from her slightly. "Can we just watch a cartoon today?" he asked, trying to change the subject. But Samantha ignored his request. As the hours passed, she began touching him in ways he didn't like, patting his leg too long, brushing his hair with her fingers, and even pulling him into unwelcome hugs. Alex squirmed and tried to push her away. "Stop it," he said firmly. "I don't like this." But Samantha only laughed, dismissing his discomfort. "Oh, don't be silly, Alex. You're a big boy now. You need to learn to relax." Her words stung, and Alex felt tears prickling at the corners of his eyes. He didn't know what to do. He had told her to stop, but she didn't listen. He felt powerless. That evening, when his parents came home, Alex tried to tell his mother again. But as usual, she seemed preoccupied, rushing to finish chores and prepare dinner. "We'll talk later, Alex," she said absent-mindedly. "Go wash up." Alex went to bed that night feeling scared and unheard. He didn't know how to make the adults around him understand what was happening. The next day, Samantha arrived again, letting herself into the house as though she belonged there. She seemed more carefree and bold, as if she had no reason to be cautious. Alex sat quietly in the living room, dreading her visit, but unsure how to stop her. "Alex, today's going to be fun," Samantha said with a wide grin. She plopped onto the couch beside him and opened her bag, pulling out DVDs. Alex noticed the covers looked different. These weren't the usual animated movies or family films. The titles were unfamiliar, and the pictures made him uncomfortable. "What's that?" Alex asked hesitantly, hoping she wouldn't play them. "These are movies for big people, Alex," Samantha replied, smirking as she put one in the DVD player. "You're a big boy now. You'll like it." Alex shook his head. "I don't want to watch that. Can we watch cartoons instead?" Samantha rolled her eyes dramatically. "Cartoons are for babies. You're not a baby, are you? Just sit back and watch. You'll like it." As the movie began to play, Alex's discomfort grew. The scenes were nothing like anything he had seen before. He covered his eyes with his hands, but Samantha laughed at him. "Oh, come on, Alex. Stop being shy. You need to learn about these things someday." Alex felt trapped. He wanted to leave the room, but Samantha's tone made him afraid. Just when he thought it couldn't get worse, Samantha stood up to adjust something. She began changing her clothes right in front of him, as though he wasn't even there. "Why are you doing that?" Alex asked, his voice shaky. Samantha turned to him and laughed again, her confidence unnerving. "Relax, Alex. It's no big deal. You'll understand when you're older." "I don't like this," Alex said firmly, standing up and trying to walk away. But Samantha grabbed his wrist gently, pulling him back. "Don't be so dramatic," she said. "I'm just getting comfortable. Sit down." Alex felt helpless. He sat down but kept his head down, wishing the day would end and his parents would come home. He wanted to tell them everything, but every time he tried, something seemed to get in the way. That evening, Alex's parents sat at the dinner table, discussing their day. Mrs. Anderson smiled warmly as she sipped her tea. "You know," she began, "we are so lucky to have Samantha as a neighbor. She's been such a big help with Alex while we're at work." Mr. Anderson nodded, leaning back in his chair. "You're right. If not for her, I don't know how we would have managed. She's always around, willing to help. That's rare these days. I think I'll get her something tomorrow to show our appreciation," Mrs. Anderson said thoughtfully. "Maybe a nice gift basket or something. She deserves it." Alex, who had been quietly eating his food at the table, froze at their words. His stomach churned as he listened to them praise Samantha, the person who had been making his days so miserable. He wanted to shout, to tell them everything, but every time he opened his mouth, the words got stuck. He was afraid they wouldn't believe him, especially when they trusted Samantha so much. "Mom, Dad," Alex finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Anderson looked over at him. "Yes, sweetheart?" "What is it?" Alex hesitated, fidgeting with his fork. "About Samantha. Before he could finish, Mr. Anderson interrupted with a chuckle. "You like her, don't you? She's such a fun person to be around, right?" Alex's shoulders slumped. He felt like he was drowning in his thoughts. They didn't understand, and he didn't know how to make them listen. Mrs. Anderson reached over and patted his hand. "We know you're in good hands, Alex. Samantha is like family to us. You don't need to worry about anything." Alex gave a weak nod, his appetite gone. He excused himself from the table and went to his room, tears stinging his eyes. How could he make them see what was really happening? Before he could finish, Mr. Anderson interrupted with a chuckle. "You like her, don't you? She's such a fun person to be around, right?" Alex's shoulders slumped. He felt like he was drowning in his thoughts. They didn't understand, and he didn't know how to make them listen. Mrs. Anderson reached over and patted his hand. We know you're in good hands, Alex. Samantha is like family to us. You don't need to worry about anything. Alex gave a weak nod, his appetite gone. He excused himself from the table and went to his room, tears stinging his eyes. How could he make them see what was really happening? The next day, Samantha arrived as usual. This time, Alex kept his distance, retreating to his room. But Samantha wasn't having it. She followed him, her smile sharp and insistent. "Why are you hiding, Alex? Don't you like me anymore?" she asked, leaning against the doorframe. Alex didn't answer, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know how to escape her presence or how to make her stop. "Come on," Samantha said, stepping into the room. "You're my little buddy, remember? Let's watch something fun together." "I don't want to," Alex said, his voice trembling. But Samantha didn't take no for an answer. She grabbed his hand and pulled him back to the living room, her grip firm despite her playful tone. She made him do what he is not supposed to do. The next day, Alex sat in the living room, nervously waiting for his father to come home. He heard the familiar sound of the front door opening and the rustling of keys as Mr. Anderson entered, looking exhausted from a long day at work. "Dad," Alex called out hesitantly, clutching his hands together, "I need to tell you something." Mr. Anderson dropped his briefcase on the floor and sank into the couch, rubbing his temples. "Alex, can we talk later? I've had a really tough day at work," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "But Dad," Alex tried again, his voice trailing off. He wanted to tell him so badly, but his father's tired expression made him stop. Alex swallowed his words and nodded silently. "Thanks, buddy," Mr. Anderson muttered, closing his eyes for a moment. "I just need to rest." Alex sat there, feeling a wave of disappointment wash over him. Every time he tried to speak up, it seemed like no one had the time to listen. He wanted to scream, to make them hear him, but he was just a child. And Samantha, with her fake smiles and her seemingly kind nature, had everyone fooled. That evening, as the family sat down for dinner, Mrs. Anderson brought up her plan to thank Samantha. "I'm thinking of baking her a cake tomorrow," she said with a smile. "It's the least we can do for all she's done for Alex." Alex stared at his plate, his appetite gone. He wanted to blurt out the truth, to tell them that Samantha wasn't the kind person they thought she was. But every time he opened his mouth, the words got stuck. That day, Samantha grew even bolder. As Alex tried to keep himself distracted in his room, Samantha found him again, her usual grin plastered on her face. She sat beside him, holding a DVD case in her hand. "Alex," she said sweetly, but her tone felt unsettling. "I have an idea. Why don't we practice what we're watching today? It'll be fun." Alex frowned, confused and uneasy. "Practice? What do you mean?" Samantha waved the DVD in her hand and laughed lightly. "Just a little pretend, like a game. You trust me, right?" Alex hesitated, unsure of what to say. Deep down, he didn't want to agree, but Samantha had a way of making him feel like he didn't have a choice. "I don't know," he mumbled, his eyes fixed on the floor. "Come on, Alex," Samantha urged, her tone soft but insistent. "It's just for fun. Don't you want to have fun? You're a big boy now. You can handle this." Reluctantly, Alex nodded, feeling trapped. "Okay, I guess." Samantha's smile widened. "That's my boy. You will see. It'll be great." The hours dragged on as Samantha led Alex through activities he didn't fully understand, but instinctively knew felt wrong. He felt a growing discomfort with every passing moment, but every time he voiced his concerns or tried to stop, Samantha would dismiss him. "Relax, Alex," she'd say. "It's all part of growing up. You'll thank me one day." But Alex didn't feel like he was learning or growing. He felt scared, confused, and more alone than ever. He didn't know how to get out of the situation, and every attempt to talk to his parents seemed to fail. One day, Alex mustered the courage to ask Samantha a question that had been bothering him for a long time. "Auntie Samantha, why are you doing all these things? Don't you have a boyfriend to spend time with?" Samantha's cheerful mask slipped for a moment, revealing a hint of bitterness. She let out a dry laugh and leaned back on the couch. "Alex, let me tell you something," she began, her voice tinged with sarcasm. "Since my boyfriend left me, I made a promise to myself. I won't let any man have control over me again. I'll use them before they use me." Alex frowned, feeling confused. "But I'm not a man," he said softly. "I'm just a small boy." Samantha's smile returned, but it wasn't warm or kind. "Oh, Alex," she said, shaking her head. "You're not as small as you think. You're growing up fast. You'll understand these things soon enough." Alex felt uneasy, her words making him feel strange and uncomfortable. He realized then that Samantha's behavior wasn't right, and her words only made him more determined to speak up. But how? Every time he tried to tell his parents, something got in the way. He needed another plan. That night, as Alex lay in bed, he thought about everything Samantha had done. He felt trapped, scared, and alone. He knew he couldn't keep this secret any longer. He decided he would talk to someone he trusted, his teacher, Mrs. Brown. She was kind and always told her students to come to her if they ever felt unsafe or worried. The next morning, Alex went to school feeling nervous, but determined. At recess, he waited until Mrs. Brown was alone at her desk. Slowly, he walked up to her, his heart pounding in his chest. "Ma'am," Alex said quietly, his voice shaking, "can I talk to you?" Mrs. Brown looked at him with her usual warm smile. "Of course, Alex. What's on your mind?" Alex hesitated, his hands fidgeting, but he took a deep breath and started to tell her everything. He told her about Samantha, about the strange movies, the things she said, and the way she made him feel. As he spoke, tears rolled down his cheeks. Mrs. Brown listened carefully, her expression serious. When Alex finished, she knelt down so they were at the same level. She placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "Alex, you're very brave for telling me this," she said softly. "I'm so proud of you. But there's something I need to tell you." She hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Samantha is my younger sister." Alex's eyes widened in shock. "Your sister?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Yes," Mrs. Brown said, "but listen to me, Alex. I promise you, I'll talk to her, and I'll make sure this never happens again. You don't need to tell anyone else. I'll take care of it." Alex nodded slowly, unsure of what to think. For the first time in weeks, he felt like someone was going to help him. Mrs. Brown promised to protect him, and he trusted her. That evening, Mrs. Brown visited Samantha. When Samantha opened the door, her cheerful expression faded as soon as she saw her sister's serious face. "What's wrong?" Samantha asked, trying to act innocent. Mrs. Brown stepped inside, closing the door behind her. "I know what you've been doing to Alex," she said firmly. "He told me everything." Samantha's face turned pale. I didn't mean to." "Stop," Mrs. Brown interrupted. "There's no excuse for what you've done. You've hurt that boy, and it has to stop. If you ever go near him again or do anything like this to anyone else, I'll call the police. Do you understand?" Samantha's eyes filled with tears, and she began to cry. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I won't do it again." I promise. Mrs. Brown watched her carefully, her heart conflicted. She wanted to believe her sister's tears, but a part of her wasn't sure if Samantha was truly sorry or just afraid of getting caught. "I mean it, Samantha," Mrs. Brown said firmly. "This is your one and only warning." The next day at school, Alex went to Mrs. Brown and asked, "Did you talk to Samantha? Is she going to jail?" Mrs. Brown hesitated, then smiled gently. "I spoke to her, Alex. She promised she wouldn't hurt you again. You don't have to worry anymore." Alex frowned. "But she should be punished. She did something bad." "I understand how you feel," Mrs. Brown said, "but sometimes people need a chance to change. Let's see if she keeps her promise, okay?" Alex nodded, but deep down he felt let down. He had hoped Mrs. Brown would do more. That evening, as he lay in bed, he wondered if Samantha would really stop. What if she broke her promise? What if no one ever made sure she faced the consequences? The morning after Alex's parents left for work, Samantha came over as usual. She let herself in with her usual smile, but Alex could tell something was different. Her eyes were colder and her tone was sharp. "Alex," she said quietly, motioning for him to come closer. Alex hesitated, but slowly walked toward her. Samantha knelt down so they were at eye level, her cheerful expression fading. "You told Mrs. Brown about me, didn't you?" she asked, her voice icy. Alex froze, his heart racing. He tried to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. I didn't mean to," he stammered, tears welling up in his eyes. Samantha's face hardened. "Listen to me very carefully, Alex," she said, her voice low and threatening. "You will never tell anyone about this again. Do you understand?" Alex nodded, but Samantha wasn't done. "If you do," she continued, her eyes narrowing, "I'll send you to a place of no return. A place where no one will ever find you." Alex's knees felt weak and his hands shook. He wanted to cry, but he was too afraid. Samantha straightened up, her voice softening into her usual fake sweetness. "Good boy," she said with a fake smile. "Now let's act like nothing happened, okay?" Alex nodded silently, his mind racing with fear. He felt trapped, unsure of what to do next. After Samantha left that afternoon, Alex sat on the couch, staring blankly at the TV. His heart was heavy, and his mind replayed her words over and over. He felt too scared to tell anyone now, afraid of what she might do. One weekend, Alex's parents sent him to stay with his grandmother, Nana Mary. She lived in a small house in the countryside, and Alex always felt safe there. Nana Mary noticed something was wrong right away. Alex was quieter than usual, and he seemed sad. That afternoon, as they sat on the porch, Nana Mary gently asked, "Alex, is something bothering you? You've been so quiet." Alex looked down at his hands, unsure if he should speak, but his grandmother's kind eyes made him feel safe. "Nana," he said softly, "can I tell you something?" "Of course, sweetheart," she said. "You can tell me anything." Alex hesitated, then began to tell her everything. He told her about the movies, the things Samantha said, and how she made him feel scared and uncomfortable. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke. By the time Alex finished, Nana Mary's heart was broken. She hugged him tightly, her own tears falling. "Oh, my sweet boy," she said, "I'm so sorry this happened to you, but you did the right thing by telling me. I'm going to make sure this never happens again." Nana Mary didn't waste a moment. She called the police and told them everything Alex had shared. The officers took the situation very seriously and came to Nana Mary's house to speak with Alex the next morning. Nana Mary stayed by his side as he answered their questions. "You're very brave, Alex," one officer said after listening to him. "Because you spoke up, we can make sure Samantha doesn't hurt anyone else." That afternoon, the police went to Samantha's house. When she opened the door and saw them, her cheerful smile disappeared. "Samantha Thompson," one officer said, "you are under arrest for inappropriate behavior toward a minor." Samantha tried to deny everything. "This is ridiculous. I would never do anything like that," she protested. But the police didn't listen. They handcuffed her and took her away, while neighbors whispered and watched from their windows. After Samantha's arrest, the policeman decided that Alex shouldn't return home to his parents. They had been too busy to notice what was happening, and Alex needed someone who would always put him first. Nana Mary was more than happy to take Alex in. "Oh, my darling boy," she said as she hugged him tightly, "you'll stay with me now. No one will hurt you here." Alex felt a wave of relief. He loved being with his grandmother. Her house was warm and full of love, and she always made time for him. She cooked his favorite meals, played games with him, and read him bedtime stories. Most importantly, she listened to him. Days later, the police returned to Alex's school. This time, they were there for Mrs. Brown. She was called out of her classroom, her face pale as she saw the officers waiting for her. "Mrs. Brown," one officer said firmly, "you are under arrest for failing to report abuse and neglecting your duty to protect a child." Mrs. Brown's hands trembled as she tried to explain. "Please, I didn't mean to harm anyone. I warned my sister. I thought it would stop." But the officers didn't listen. "You had a responsibility to report this immediately. Your failure put Alex in even more danger." Tears streamed down Mrs. Brown's face as the officers handcuffed her. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Please forgive me." But no one was listening. She was led out of the school as students and teachers watched in silence, her shame visible for everyone to see. Over time, Alex began to heal. Nana Mary made sure he saw a therapist who helped him understand that what happened wasn't his fault. With her constant love and support, Alex started to smile again and enjoy life. One evening, as they sat on the porch together, Alex asked, "Nana, will I ever stop feeling scared?" She wrapped her arms around him and said, "Yes, my dear. It'll take time, but you'll feel better. And no matter what, I'll always be here for you." Alex looked up at her and smiled for the first time in weeks. He knew he had a long journey ahead, but with Nana Mary by his side, he felt hopeful for the future. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.